Hello from a very sunny again and hot again UK, and welcome back to my workshop journey. Last week we finished with starting the dry assembly for the project. That's what I'm going to carry on doing this week, and hopefully with trying to take on board comments from Tim, my next door neighbour, and making sure I don't put myself into a position of putting a chisel into my wrist. But hopefully won't come to that, because I'm hoping that all of the joints will be working properly, and if they do need easing somewhat to make things fit, then I'm going to try and make things easier in a safer way. So let's crack on with carrying on with the dry assembly. Now, I don't know what happened to the sound, but I think we're back online now. So as you see, I've down here in this corner, the slot for the panel, it had a kink in it, so I've had to find a chisel that would take some of that out, and so at least that now goes in. You could see that I was having a little bit of problem getting the panel in, but I'm finding that those bars are invaluable for drawing all of the parts together. But it is going to be a very challenging project, because I realise I think I've miscut these two bottom rails, so I think you noticed I was having to swap the direction that this one went in, but we'll see how that goes. So that's that, but I'm going to have to take that, now I know that that side fits, I'm going to have to take that side off so I can test the other side, because when I start gluing up I'm going to be doing the two long sides first, glue those up, get them all square, then I can put in, I can fit the two side panels, side assemblies. So that's the way things are going. So as I've said before, this is going to be the most challenging project I've ever done, just by way of the gluing up process, knowing which order to do things. But things are looking very nice. There are one or two little gaps, like on this taper here and this taper here. I've taken it a little too far, so there is a gap between the tapered leg and the rail, but all in all I am very pleased with the way it's going. So let me take this panel off, this leg off, so I can take these these sides off, because then I can come to fit the other end. And there's another kink on that one, I've just realised. So let me take that out first. Can you see? It's where the workpiece strayed away from the fence on the router table. So there's a big kink there. So and as part of my workshop journey, I'm going to have to discover the best way of sharpening chisels. Because one of the things I've always struggled with is keeping the angle correct. I mean, that looks awful by way of sharpness, as does this. This is a chisel that I inherited from my dad, and they both look very blunt. Let's see what else I've got. Oh, that's better. Right, try that. That's the one. Oh, I went through a phase, didn't I, of drifting. There's another kink there. So And you notice, Tim, I am keeping my wrist well away from chisels. And that one went in very nicely. Okay, and peep, here's that one. So everything is looking quite well, and I must say, I can't remember whether I've shown you them before, but these bars, one-handed cramp bars from Rutland Tools, are an excellent piece of kit. Much easier to use than the sash cramps that I've got. Those are still useful, of course, but there. So those are going together nicely. Right, so everything goes in well. And this brings me to a comment that Tim made a few weeks ago about my cutting of the base. He questioned my measuring, and I was wondering what he meant by that, but I think I see the problem now. At least that goes. I've got the width correct, I've just neglected the length. I've got the length incorrect. That's a bother, but at least that goes in well. That really does stiffen the whole piece nicely. And okay, but I managed to get that in between the two sides, so that's going to have to go in as I put in the two side pieces. I will have enough flexibility without the the second side piece to slip it in. I'll have enough flexibility here. Even though it will be glued, there will be a bit of flexibility, so that's fine. And then if I then put on the last side, that's going to work nicely, I think. We'll wait and see. So the only other thing I need to just check on are the Okay, so I think that's okay. Right, I'm happy with that. Everything's going to pull together nicely, and I really do like the flush nature of that panel compared with these two side rails. I do like that. So, right, we're now at that point where I can, am I at the right point to start gluing up? The basic carcass goes together nicely. None of the joints need any easing. But one thing that I'm not quite sure of course, this is a piece that is going to have a lid. And you might remember from way back when I slightly cut the legs over length, so these will obviously need trimming so that everything will be flush. Yeah, I've got that. But fitting the top is made from the cherry that I've been using. It's the full depth, as in the same thickness as the legs, and all I've done, it was the full width of the wood, and I've just joined two widths together. I've deliberately cut it oval size so I can adjust it with tooling. I want to put some edge detailing in, perhaps panel raise it. But my thought was, how am I going to attach it to the carcass? My initial thought, going back way when I first conceived the project, was to have it hinged at one end so that the whole piece would lift like that. That's what I envisioned. I don't know now whether to hinge it on the length side. How am I going to attach the hinges? How do I go for the full width, full length, or do I have some sort of overhang? I think a small overhang will look stylish, and it will allow me to have some detailing as well. So, be interested to hear your comments. Do I go for hinge short side, hinge long side? Do I make this slightly oversize so that there is an overhang on all four sides? That at least would allow a little lip so that you can get hold of. And I was planning not only edge detailing, like, as I say, panel raising. I was toying with the idea of some sort of inlay in here. Quite a few years ago I did some marquetry, and I was I was toying with the idea of putting some a marquetry panel in here as well. I'm not quite sure about that, but we'll see. So that's the top, that's going to go on later. And I've just realised that my confusion the bottom shelf, I've put it at the bottom. That was what was confusing me. The shelf needs to be at the top. So, okay, at least I've spotted it and I can do something about that. But anyway, let me take the side panels off. Turning that rail round means I just turn that one round, so that should be okay. Right, let me disassemble this one, then I can start gluing up. So I might as well leave those two rails connected to the panel. They are in the right position, they don't need to move, and the panels aren't going to get glued anyway. The only thing that is getting glued, just to remind myself, are the four tenons on this piece, and then it will be that way round. Yes, I have miscut these because that is WW, which is that side, but if that side goes in there, the slots are at the bottom. I don't want that, so I am going to have to turn it around and do it that way round. Okay, and brush. And one thing I've decided to do when I come to put the side panels on is to flood the mortise chamber with glue so that it fits into all of the little nooks and crannies. But we'll see how that goes. So that one goes in there. That's that one. And well, that goes in nicely. Just check squeeze out. Wipe off with finger first. I shouldn't do that really. Let me just pop it's such a hot day, I want to stop that evaporating, so I close that. Right, let me just check for square. So that is a little out like that. That's not bad. It is a little out, okay. So let me do it like this, then I can see which way it is. So it needs to go like that. And then knock it back. By and large, that is nice and square. So let me just check. Up here along that edge, and that goes all the way along the top rail. It is a little bit out, but let me get the clamp and just lightly pull these together. Get rid of the glue squeeze, like that. Check that for square. No, I've lost a little bit on that one. That one is nice and square. No, it is a little bit out. That is nice and square now. That is nice and square. That is nice and square. And that is nice and square. That's nice. Okay. So let me do this one. This one. That's nice and square to the rail from the leg, as is that. Oh, I do like that one. Let me try from the edge. That's parallel to the bottom of the rail, as is that one. That's nice. Yep, good. Let me just clamp at the bottom rail. And I'll put a link in the description below just to show where I got these from. I'm very pleased with the build quality of the clamps and their ease of use. They're much easier to use because I can use them one-handed rather than the existing clamps that I have, which, to be honest, you cannot do with less than 2 hands. 3 hands are even better at times. Okay. So I've got rid of the glue squeeze. There's not a lot come out because there wasn't a lot of glue going in, but that's that first side done. Now the advantage of this clamp, one-handed clamp from Rutland's, is that it already has the rubber clamp heads, so that will not bruise any wood. The existing sash clamps that I have, although the bar is extruded aluminium, the clamp heads are, well, I suppose they're cast aluminium, and they don't give as much, so they will, if I'm not careful, bruise the wood. So what I do in a situation like this, I use a scrap piece of wood just to put inside, and then as the clamp pushes together, it's the wood that will flex and not the workpiece. So now, one thing I have found is I have to get these roughly in the right position, because I need two hands to hold them in position, to hold these pieces of wood in place. I need to get these two pieces roughly in the right place so that there's not too much movement. So that's the side. A rough position for this will be there. That will give me enough manoeuvring room, I think. No, one more. There we go. Because that will need a block there, and that's given me enough clamping room on that one. Okay, so that's that one. This one. And this is how awkward these are. They're useful. They've got me going quite a long way down my workshop journey, but they do have their limitations. There we go. So that's roughly positioned. Now I can disassemble this and glue up. Now those are roughly sized. Brush. That's that one. Now, one thing with the weather being so hot here in the UK at the moment, the glue is very liquid at this point in time. So that's that one. Whether it will go off any quicker is another matter. There we go. So That sounded good. That's better. Right, just make sure there's no extraneous glue to start with before I begin clamping. Okay, so stick the top on, get the bar. And let's just check for square. Keep mopping up while I'm going. Well, that's not bad to start with. It is a little out, but I would expect that until I make small adjustments. That one and that one are nice and square. Those two aren't. And those two aren't. So that's better. That's improved things. At the top at least. Just check that. That's nice and square. Ooh, that's nice. That is lovely and square. So the only one that's out, that's why. That one was not in the mortise correctly. That's better. That's lovely and square. I knew there had to be a reason for it. And here you can see another difficulty that I have with these long sash cramps. They are long, and that's part of the problem. But they do the job. I'm bashing it, but again, this is a problem with these sash cramps. Getting they keep the work nice and straight so long as you can keep the workpiece in contact with the cramp. If I can keep the glue squeeze out to a minimum, it's going to make it a lot easier later on when it comes time to just sanding it all off. And that's the first bit of gluing up done. I've just got to make sure I give the brush a good wash out, because I don't want that going hard, especially on a day like this. And then that's as far as I can go for gluing up at the moment, because of until that goes off I can't do it any more gluing up. But that's for next time, and I'm going to give some thought now to what I'm going to be doing with the top. I might as well do that now while I've got this gluing up process going on, and then I'll know exactly where I'm going with the project. So before I do anything with the top, I'm just going to give it its sand to get rid of one or two little bumps here, and on the other side there's a little bit of glue that seeped, and like I did last time, 80 grit then 120 grit just to take it down, get rid of one or two of the lines that pencil lines that I've left on, and we'll see how that goes. That's the 80 grit, let me get the 120. There we go, that's both sides done nicely, and because of the jointing, that is the better of the two sides of the joint, so I will make that one the top. But one thing I know is going to be a niggle with me is because of the width of the board, I've had to join it like that, so I've got two sets of grain going across the workpiece. I would have preferred to go the length of the piece, but I just didn't have enough timber to do that. I didn't have the length to give me two lengths, even if I'd cut things down. So that's making the best of the bad job in that regard. But okay, we can live with that. Right, now then, what sort of edging do I want? Is it a plain round over? I don't know. Is it a panel raise? I don't know. Now I've got two roundovers. This one is 20 millimeters, I think. I can't remember offhand. No, that's a 15 millimeter radius. Okay. And this one is a 20 millimeter radius. So, what's the 20 going to look like? So if I go for a 20mm round over, that the workpiece is big enough almost. I will need to clamp it on the bench. I either put the cutter in the bench router or clamp the board clamp the edge of the board over the bench and then in the hand router go round the edge, because the top of the bearing here is, if I just do that on the bench, I have a gap. That could work. Right, so just a round over. Okay. Or I have two panel raising bits. This is the smaller of the two. Like that. And the bigger one you've already seen me use for the beach panels. Now that produces a nice finish, but do I want another panel like that? This one has a slight ogee to it. I think what I'm going to do is have a play with scrap pieces of wood and just see which one takes my fancy the best. Because another cutter I have is the rounder, the half round bull nose. Now that gives a diameter of 25 millimeters. So if I go, let me move the box. If I go for that, that's about 25 millimeters anyway, so that would produce a bull nose all the way round. Like that. Again, I will try on some scrap wood and see exactly what it's going to look like. because honestly I just do not know what to do by way of edge detailing. I could put the bull nose on there and then put another cutter on. Now that the bull nose all the way round would give me a detail, yes, but is that going to make it easier to raise the lid? It won't matter if I have everything oversized and it overhangs the edge of the rails. So let me have a look. So there's the rail. If it's a flush, the bull nose won't work because that will be 12.5 millimeters in, and that will make quite a gap. If I overhang by 12.5 mil, no, on balance I don't think the bull nose will work. Okay. So what else do I have? So it's really either the OG panel raise or the 20 mil round over. I'm going to run those through test pieces and just see what takes my fancy the best. Now that's going to be for another day. So yeah, I'll have a play with the scrap pieces next time, and that will give me a chance to finish gluing up the boxes and give me time to think which way I'm going to go on this. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really appreciate suggestions and I'm always open to those. Sometimes it takes me a while to cotton on to what people are saying and how things actually work. But I'm very grateful for any guidance and suggestions that you might like to give me, and I hope you're enjoying watching to a certain extent my struggle and the journey that I'm on when it comes to what happens in my workshop. But thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.